So what's funny is we're recording this Sports Extra segment and we're in break and us three are talking all about the SEC coaching carousel, and we're going to talk about it more with you guys because I think you deserve to hear everything that's going on. There are 5 new coaches in the SEC. We're living in a world where it's nearly 32% of the SEC is new this year. And at the pinnacle of it, at the peak, Mount Everest, let's call it, is Lane Kiffin and the debacle that has happened over the last 2 weeks. Talked about it a little bit on Sports Extra, but Jarvis, I'm going to give you the floor on this one first. And we can just have open dialogue about the way it went down. Lane Kiffin drugged this out for what feels like forever, but it was about 2 weeks, and he was being courted by Florida, by LSU. He's been courted by Auburn in the past, and he ends up choosing LSU in the most dramatic, horrible situation for Ole Miss fans possible. Lay it all out there on what people should be thinking about how this went down.
If you don't win a national championship, if you're an LSU fan, forget about it, because this guy is going to be looking for the next job, because he's never been content with being good and proving himself where he is. Wherever his feet are, he's never been comfortable there. And I question people like that. And for
why?
Because here's the thing, like if you're all about building something long term, winning the national championship, those normally don't come fly by night, especially in today's world where all the talent is spread out. When you used to be able to hoard 5-star guys back in the day, yep, you can do it. You can figure it out. If you can get a roster and you can get hot, you can do it. We saw it at Auburn with Cam Newton. Yeah. They figured it out. They got one of the best college quarterbacks ever to play the game, and they just rode that wave. And but today, in today's game, I just don't think that's possible, because you have to be able to say, look these guys in the eyes and bring these guys in 4 years straight out of high school, and you have to go into the portal and bring those guys together and figure out some way to how to get some type of chemistry to be able for them to make it happen. And I just don't think Lane Kiffin is built like that. He's not built like that in my eyes.
So I'm going to throw in a caveat that's going to be very unpopular, okay? And this is not me sticking up for Lane Kiffin by any stretch of the imagination, so let me be very clear on that. Why should coaches, this is a generalization, just a question for both of you, why should they have allegiance to certain situations when players don't anymore? Just a question.
Because they're the adults in the room.
So are the players.
You don't hold 18 to 22-year-olds to the same standard as you do an adult. He's a grown man. You just signed up to be the head coach of that team, and you got them on the cusp of being in the college football playoff. Ole Miss, you've been there. You understand how that works.
They're in it.
Yeah. It's a bit. You know what I'm saying? They're in it.
Yeah, they're in it no matter what. Yeah.
So you're in the college football playoff, and you aren't even in a position to where you're able to coach the team.
Yeah.
Like, that's how messy it was.
Yeah.
And it's how you handle it. Now, I'm not saying no one should go out there and dream job, but it's all about how you handle it. You be straight up. You looked at AD and I say, hey man, I'm considering taking this job. What do we need to do? What type of plan we need to come up with so I can figure out a way to coach this team and leave on a good note? Forget the recruiting with the signing day. Forget that. I want to honor what we did this year. I want to do right by my players and say, okay, guys, I'm leaving, but here's what I would like to accomplish before we leave. Let's ride this bad boy out and see and see what happens.
Yeah, and Lane did do that with Keith Carter, by the way. The problem with it, though, is that it was too little too late.
Sure.
Keith Carter is the athletic director at the University of Mississippi, and Lane went to him and said, I want to coach. I want to be there with the kids in the postseason. I want to be a part of everything that Ole Miss hopefully does in the postseason. He said that. He wanted to be at the players' meeting. And Lane Kiffin himself said in an interview that Keith did not allow him to do that, and Keith has every right to do that, and especially in the way that it went down with the timing.
You can't have your wife going down to Baton Rouge looking for houses though in the bye week. Like I'm like, oh come on, and don't carry this out. No, sorry, Gabe.
No, look, I'm on Ole Miss's side. You can't. Yeah. If we're not good enough for you, go. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, Keith had every right to do that for sure.
Of course, LSU's a better job than Ole Miss. I don't think anyone is disputing that.
Nope.
I thought that there would be value in winning where he was and being the best coach in Ole Miss history. And he was winning. He had back-to-back really strong. Personally, I thought Ole Miss at their peak was the best team in the SEC last year. Mm-hmm. Their lows were lower than Georgia's. Okay? Mm-hmm. They shouldn't have lost to Kentucky. Like, they shouldn't have lost to Florida. That happened. makes me a little worried about even going to LSU having that talent. I mean, he had a ton of talent last year and he lost 3 games.
Yeah.
Right, this year, the schedule was more look, the bottom line, this schedule this year, he lost to Georgia, but he did beat Florida and Kentucky this time. He didn't value I'm going to have a statue one day, I'm going to have the stadium named after me. It's not what he wanted. And I kind of likened it like, do you want to be the best player in the history of the Utah Jazz, or do you want to go play for the LA Lakers? Because that's kind of what this is,
true.
right?
That's a really good point.
That's where we're at. And
Yeah.
it would be, it's cool to be John Stockton or whatever, but if you're an LA Laker, it's different, and LSU is kind of an equivalent. In college football,
It's
LSU
true.
is one of the LA Laker jobs.
It is very true, and this is coming from someone, myself, that went to the University of Mississippi, has a degree from the University of Mississippi. I'm proud to be an Ole Miss alumni. I am not proud of what's gone down over the last couple of weeks, I will say that. I do want to have faith in Pete Golding. I think that they did the best that they could in this scenario. He was elevated to full-time head coach. We thought it was just going to be interim in the postseason, but then Keith Carter, the athletic director, made the decision that Pete Golding will now be the head coach. Part of that, in my opinion, is because this timeline was dragged out so far, Ole Miss is now like, well, wait a second. There were a couple guys out there that they were talking to that they had a lot of interest in, and they took other jobs. So Ole Miss is now in a situation where I have someone on staff who says they want to be here and prove they want to be here. That, when Lane Kiffin is threatening to bring his entire staff to Baton Rouge, there's a lot to that. So I'm proud of the fact that they put someone in place that I think is very, very, I guess, apt to be there. Just the desire of him wanting to be there is great. Have you guys seen the tarmac videos?
Some of it, yeah.
And what do you think? College football's the best, man.
How about his clothes being how about Ole Miss leaving his clothes out there?
I saw that picture too. Just rolled those clothes right out of bounds. They said, get out.
That's what happens when
Crazy.
you're messy. He is a messy individual.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin is a snake oil salesman. Let me tell you, he was what? Man, look. Like Lane is going to
We're about to get Jarvis going.
LSU fans are going to understand what I mean in 2 years. Because guess what? If you hadn't won a natty in 2 years,
LOL.
I promise you, he's going to be on.
Tennessee fans are sitting back like, hey, listen, remember when we were burning mattresses and writing on the rock and doing all those things? Yeah, well, we told you it was going to happen. It took 6 years, because Lane was in Oxford for 6 years. Sure. It's just a stunning turn of events that we're even talking about this scenario. I do want to talk about the coaching calendar because it's not fair for anybody involved. It sets programs up for failure the way that it is right now. You look at the NFL model, and if you're coaching in a Super Bowl, okay, other teams can't talk to you. They cannot talk to you until you are finished. I think that is admirable because you have a job to do, you have a job to finish with the team you're currently at. To the detriment of everybody, people can poach college coaches as they are right now. Yeah. You have teams that could be playing until January. Other schools don't have the same timeline. They need coaches right now. Clearly, they're not playing till January. Otherwise, they wouldn't be looking for a coach, right? So I think the NCAA's got to figure that out. What do we think the solution to that is?
Don't count on the NCAA to figure it out. Okay. They have all of 7 employees last time I checked? No, yeah. You can't count on the NCAA. It's going to have to be a collection of people, ADs around across the country, like the College Football Playoff Committee. Hey, the NCAA calendar committee, or whatever they want to call it. They can't call it NCAA, but whatever you want to come up with it, they're going to have to get together and say, hey, this is an issue, and we have to fix this. Because there are a lot of teams that are getting burned. There are players that are getting burned, like with Pete Golding. Yeah. Thankfully, he's the permanent guy, so hey, he can go on the recruiting trail and pound the table and say, hey, man, I'm going to be here. I'm the coach. I want you to be here at Ole Miss. But it's going to take the athletic directors across the country, whatever organization that they're part of, they say, hey, man, they get together and say, hey, guys, we need to figure this out because this is an issue. And I'm sure everyone will be on board with that.
Yeah, and a lot of people are pointing to the fact that John Sumrall, who just took the Florida job, who Gabe is a fan of, so we'll talk about the Gators for a second. But John Sumrall was the head coach at Tulane. Tulane has a chance to play in a conference championship. They're going to do so. John's going to see it out. He's going to coach with them, and Florida allowed that to happen. Tulane also agreed that this was the best case scenario. It's different than what's happening in Oxford and Baton Rouge. Clearly very different in ways that we don't have time to describe. But why? Why should John be allowed to do that when Lane is not?
It's just vastly different situations.
Yep.
I mean, if you're Tulane, you would want him to stay, and it's a good opportunity to market your school, certainly for another candidate. And if you're Florida, it's kind of just recruiting, right?
Yeah.
Here's our coach. He's in the playoff. Tulane could win. I think we all assume they won't, but they could make the playoff and win a game. This could go on for a while. This could go on into the new year, right?
If Duke wins the ACC, that is a big
you
possibility.
never know.
You don't know. So it was fine with everyone involved, and also that was a lot less kind of toxic.
Yeah.
To put it in the easiest, nicest
very
way
nice.
possible. That situation,
Yeah.
and I think that Tulane also Tulane knew that he was leaving. They knew that he was going to have one of these jobs.
Yeah, I can confidently say, Florida fans, you're not going to get the same level of, to use your word, toxicity, I guess, with John Sumrall. That won't happen. He's not about that. He tweets and stuff, but it's not the same level of Lane Kiffin. You get a lot of personality, you get a lot of entertainment with Lane Kiffin for sure, but yeah, what a mess. There are 5 coaches. I do want to talk about this really quickly, and if you're wondering, LSU and Ole Miss play each other every year, so it's gonna be fireworks. Listen, when I was at school in Oxford, if you were to ask the older generation of Ole Miss fans, they would tell you that Mississippi State is their biggest rival. If you were to ask the newer generation of Ole Miss fans who their biggest rival is, it's LSU. That's what makes it so much more painful. You hear people screaming obscenities about LSU at games where LSU is nowhere near Oxford, Mississippi. Literally, it's in our fight songs sometimes. The fact that LSU is words I can't repeat on television. So that's just why it's so toxic. That's why it's so bad. You've got Auburn, you've got Arkansas, you've got Florida LSU. And Ole Miss, all with new coaches. Any of them stand out? You can talk about John if you want, but anybody else?
Look, a lot of Florida fans are really angry about this Sumrall thing. And they wanted Lane, they wanted a sexier name, they wanted flash. If he wins, it doesn't matter. And if he can even win the press conference, it would help him. And look,
he will.
Florida fans have a toxic reputation. Look, I grew up one. I'm the kid that got pulled out of school to go to Tebow's pro day and shake his hand.
Did you really?
I did. My uncle pulled me out of school. We went down there. I was at his pro day.
College football,
I grew
baby.
up bleeding orange
so
and
good.
blue. Okay, that was I fell in love with football watching those teams. So
I love that.
It's a rewarding place if you can win. They haven't had the right people. And they've developed a reputation, but I promise you, if Sumrall wins, the swamp is as good as it gets. The fan base will be as good as it gets, and there's a lot of pressure on him, but there's a lot of opportunity in front of him too.
There's pressure in the SEC. You don't take an SEC job without knowing that pressure comes with that. And to Gabe's point, I think the Florida fan base has just been so desperate for what they once had. You mentioned the Tim Tebow days. Those are long gone in the rearview mirror. There are so many kids that are now fans of the Florida Gators that don't remember the times in the 90s whenever Florida was at their heyday, in the early 2000s, and the documentaries that have been made about that program. I grew up in South Florida, so I'm very well aware of what Florida was and could be. It's a place where, you can have a lot of success. And so anybody other than the sexy hire, the big name, an NFL coach even, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny with that hire. John Sumrall will be phenomenal in Gainesville. I don't have enough time to tell you all the ways that I think that John will be so good in Gainesville. He is an unbelievable, if you saw my tweet, he's an unbelievable motivator. He's one of the best recruiters I've ever been around, truly. And it's because someone that nationally, not a lot of people know about John Sumrall yet, but you will. I promise you will, because this is somebody who can fire up anybody. Look at the videos of John on the sideline. He loses his voice after every single game, so get used to that. You're not going to be able to hear him. It's because of the passion that he has for football. So much of that is missing in our game now. You have coaches that, yes, it's a profession, it's a job, it's serious, but we're missing the undying love for football in a lot of these coaches, and John shows that, and I hope that the Florida fans enjoy that, because it's going to be a fun ride. Won't be dramatic like Lane Kiffin, but it'll be a lot of fun.
You know how I know John Sumrall is going to be a good hire?
Tell me.
Because they didn't hire Lane Kiffin.
How did I know that was going to happen?
Exactly
Do you want to talk about anybody else? We've got Alex Golesh at Auburn, obviously, and then Arkansas hiring the Memphis coach. Is that right?
Yeah.
There's been so many things that have happened over the last couple days. It's hard to keep them all straight. There's 5 new coaches. Anybody else? Auburn wanted a couple other coaches, from what I understand. Ends up with Alex. He has SEC experience. Coached Tennessee. Was a coordinator there, but yeah.
I think that's going to be interesting because Auburn has made some bad hires. They hired a sexy hire when they hired a few Hugh Freeze, and I know a couple Auburn fans, and when you think about the sexy hire, a lot of times in college football, unless it's Nick. Uncle Nick or Kirby or Ryan Day, hey man, those things a lot of times they don't work out. A lot of times it's those guys that have put in the work. They grinded it out at the smaller schools, like the coach from Memphis. Offenses have been great. They run some great offense. You got to score a lot of points. They come in at Arkansas. It's going to be hard to get somebody to play over there, play on defense. So that might work out. And I think this Auburn hire might work out because, a lot of times ADs and fan bases, you have to be saved from yourself because, of course you want the name, the person that you know, right? But the hiring a person like that affords you the opportunity to be patient because it's gonna take time. Because Hugh Freeze, he messed up some stuff down there. He hasn't done the job, and he should have never been hired for that job. So yeah, I think when you look at where Auburn is, I think that's going to be a good hire. And like I said, and you all know the reasons why I feel like John Summerall is going to be a good hire.
Let me tell you something about Auburn, though, in the word patience. They're not in the same sentence, Jarvis.
Sure.
They don't have any patience. They are a tick lower than the Florida fan base, I think. But it is also a state similar to Mississippi, unsimilar in so many ways. And it's because I lived in Alabama for 3 years and covered both Alabama and Auburn. In Nick Saban's heyday, mind you. Mm-hmm. It is, I can't even begin to describe how much football means to both those states because they don't have professional sports in Mississippi or Alabama. This is it. It's Auburn and Alabama. And Auburn is always going to be the little brother to Alabama until they can prove otherwise. It is a very hard job. It is such a hard job for any coach that takes it. It's a good job because it's in the SEC. You have resources, the alumni. I don't even have to go down the list of players that have played there, not just on the football team. We're talking baseball. We're talking basketball. They call them a basketball school when they get upset because Auburn basketball has been good over the last couple of years, but it's a football school.
Sure.
You want to win there. Hard freaking place to play. It's a hard place to win. They have no patience. Alex Golesh has to come in there, be successful almost right away, or else he's gone too. Look what happened to Brian Arson. Look what happened to Hugh Freeze. Now they're looking at Gus Malzahn and saying, I don't know if firing him was the best idea all those years ago. It's
the definition of insanity.
No, literally, that's the SEC. That's coaching in the SEC is the definition of insanity, but you got to do it at some point, right? Any final thoughts, guys? We could talk about this all day.
You know what,
truly.
And you know this, you were talking about Auburn. To play another ethos card, like Auburn's my family school. Most of my family went to Auburn. They're from over there.
Yeah.
That's a really special community there. You know this.
Yeah, very much so.
It's a special community with genuinely good people, great people, loving people. Auburn is their baby. It's their family.
They're so invested.
In
Generations of people go to Auburn. They move back to Auburn when they're done with school.
It's unbelievable.
I
said that winning at Florida is special. If you're the guy that gets Auburn back on track, I mean, there's a perception because things have been bad there that maybe that job isn't. And look, it's not Alabama, it's not LSU, it's not Ohio State. It's a great job. And if you can win there and get those people, they're going to be behind you. That's another place that's really again, if you can win, there's truly not that many better places.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I know that Georgia fans probably don't love hearing that, but you don't have any issues. I mean, you've got Kirby Smart that's been doing the thing, and he's going to continue to do the thing for years to come. And
he played there.
Yeah, I mean,
this is his dream job.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect the way that it is right now, and I don't ever see a drop off happening with Kirby Smart. He is much like Nick Saban in the fact that Nick Saban was so good because he changed with the way that college football was changing. Kirby Smart is proving he can do the same thing. College football is changing at a clip much higher than what was happening with Nick Saban when he was coaching at Alabama, and in a very weird way, and Kirby Smart has handled it tenfold. I mean, it's It's unbelievable. We're going to have different issues when we talk about Georgia Tech because Brent Key's going to get poached if they keep winning. Jerry Mack at Kennesaw State, it's the same thing. It's what happens when you win, except if you're Kirby Smart. You pay him $13 million a year. You keep him there. It is the perfect scenario.
Dream scenario for Georgia fans. All their
Must be
rivals
nice. No, I'm just kidding.
All their rivals are in shambles, right? I mean, all of them are trying to figure it out, and Georgia's basically they're having their best run ever, and Florida's a mess, Auburn's a mess. Georgia Tech is getting, they're getting it there, but they don't have the talent yet. And Coach Key said that we need to keep recruiting, we need to get there, and
he said they need to get bigger.
Yes,
they
do.
I agree.
We could talk about this all day.
Yes.
So we're not going to spare you. You guys have all your own opinions as well. The SEC, the ever-changing SEC, it's been just so wild over the last weekend, and it's going to continue to be that way as well. Maria Martin, Gabe Burns from the AJC, and Jarvis Davis from Locked On Georgia Tech down there. Appreciate you guys listening.